Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. I thought I would take a bit of a different approach to learning this week and guide you to some material ahead of next week's lecture and create a little bit of a task, which is always fun, I find. If you look on Nile under Session 3, Logistics, Design and Strategy, I want you to have a good look through that slide deck over the next week. And also inside there, you'll find a video that I've placed in there, which is taken from a meeting of the movers and shakers of the industry. Now, not the operational industry. These are the guys that decide, build, and invest in the logistics infrastructure that supports the operational functions. So these are big companies that support the development of places like Magna Park and Prologis and portside operations. Historically, meetings like that have become a bit of I wouldn't say talking shop, that's the wrong thing, but it's become a place to talk about historic issues and challenges within the industry and rates and how bad rates are and occupancy challenges. But what's interesting about this one, or what I find interesting about this one, is it's picked up on the changing face of logistics and supply chain, the dynamics that are shifting. So in the past few weeks, we've seen companies like Argos, who traditionally had a click and collect model for years in their stores, have now gone for a same-day delivery operation. Amazon have done the same thing inside of the major metropolitan centres like London, same-day delivery. We're talking about things like drones making deliveries to your house. The retail industry, food retail, you can click on there today onto any one of the large supermarket retail giants, and you can pretty much place an order and have it delivered to you today within the window that you want. So this is actually causing challenges in and around the traditional manner in which logistics is undertaken. If we look at the core textbook that supports this this module, it was written quite a time ago. I'm not suggesting the things in there are wrong, but arguably we could say they're out of date because it was written at a time when retail logistics had a 2 or 3 day lead time of delivery. A next day delivery was seen as, fantastic. We're now in a space where we're doing same day delivery. So the textbook arguably is potentially out of date. It's relevant, but there's some elements we need to question. And that's what I want you to do this week. I want you to question what is in that slide deck that's been taken from the book. Look at the logistics design metrics, the things there that we're talking about that we need to consider. Now, if we cast our mind back to last week when we were discussing in the classroom logistics facility design location, we all pretty much in the class said we were going to put our facility in the Benelux, predominantly because we were heavily reliant on sea freight. And one of the largest ports in Europe is Rotterdam, sits right in the middle of the Benelux. Also, we had a great thing where the Benelux was triangulated between the 4 largest air hubs in Europe, in Charles de Gaulle, Schiphol, Frankfurt and London Heathrow. So it gave us a perfect opportunity for a centralised warehouse based on the modal shift or mode of transport that are delivering into us. Now, I want to question this week. I want to question that thing and say, actually, last week, were we right? Should we have actually asked, where are our customers? And actually, rather than having one large European distribution centre, what we should have is lots of little distribution centres. Predominantly, if the logistics industry is moving towards a same-day delivery service, having a distribution centre in Venray in Holland and having an order come in Lisbon in Portugal, it takes 2 days to drive there in a van. That's not same day. That's just not going to meet the demands of the consumers. So I want you to have a think about retail logistics. I want you to think about the consumers, the location, and the lead time, and how this affects cost. Think about inventory. How does inventory change or differ? In our one large warehouse in Venray, with one stock holding location, come on, that's quite easy to handle. In many multiple locations, just in the UK alone, to do same day delivery, we're talking maybe 4 or 5 warehouses, potentially more, to to handle this. That's 4 or 5 stock holdings. That's 4 or 5 managers, 4 or 5 sets of supervisory teams, duplication of resources. Does that sound like efficient logistics to you? Does it matter whether it's efficient logistics if the margin is in the product? Is logistics there to support innovation rather than looking at cost all the time? These are the sort of things I want you to think about for next week. Now, the task is, look at the slide deck. Think about what I've just said to you in the video. Watch the video of the guys, the teams of people sat around the table that are making decisions on the future. Have a think about the logistics that sit around us, the same-day retail organisations that we have. How do we need to support that holistically in the supply chain? What that does to cost, inventory. Does it matter? And I want you to come up with some key ideas, theories, operational challenges, operational benefits to it for the organisation. And I want you to present these next week. Now, I'm quite happy for you to do this in groups. You can go off in 2 or 3. It's probably easier because that will help foster some debate. But what I do want is I want everybody to bring something to the class next week. And as an incentive, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this part of this week's discussion question on the forum. So if you do come to the class next week and you do bring some new concepts and ideas and discuss it, then I will consider and enhance the grade of your discussion question. And quite simply, if you don't, that part of the metric won't be graded. So there is an incentive for you to do this. So you have this week's time where you would have been in the lecture to look over this. Get yourselves in teams, either physically or virtually. You don't have to do it in teams. You can do it on your own if you wish. And let's have a great debate next week on the future logistics. One of the things that I want to impress upon you when you're thinking about the whole dynamic of logistics and innovation is one of the points they make in the video, that 4 out of every 5 deliveries actually end up coming back into the business. So only 1 in 5 is a successful delivery. How does that affect your decisions? How does that affect your logistics? Again, is logistics cost conscious, or is logistics there to support the overall organisation? Okay, well, I wish you luck with the task, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week.